Hey Life Group Leaders, this is Steve. Just wanted to give you a couple of things for this week. First of all, I want to do a little business. Hey, you know that we started off our leadership development course last Monday, and we got it off to a great start. But maybe you were thinking of coming and you weren't able to make it. Or maybe you've got a Timothy or a Joshua, somebody you're bringing along, somebody that should be leading a life group, and they haven't had the chance to come. Well, listen, I won't hold it against you if you missed the last installment, if you missed last Monday, if you weren't there for the first one. It's okay, and I won't hold it against you. Why don't you come and bring your Joshua, bring your Timothy along with you, and you guys progress through our leadership development course. There's 5 more weeks. This is the last week you'll be able to still get in. Come on Monday night, 6:30 in the auditorium, and be there for 5 more weeks as we do a little basic leadership development. I think it's going to be great, and it's open for you. I will put a link here so that you can just log right in and go ahead and register yourself and or your Joshua for this class. I really want you to be able to come. Okay. Second thing is, this week we're going to be continuing our discussion of 1 John and looking at his letter, and we're going to be talking about how you know that you're in Christ, that you are in fact part of the family of God, that you are, saved. And John says something really interesting that I'm going to be pointing to. He says this. He says, children, he says, remain in fellowship with Christ, so that when he returns, you will be full of courage and not shrink back from him in shame. Shrink back from him? What does it mean to shrink back from him? I've never thought about shrinking back from him in shame. I thought I was a child of God. Why would I shrink back if I'm a child of God? If I fully understand the love that he has for me. So what does it mean to shrink back? Why would I shrink back? Why would you shrink back? Do you have something to hide? Do you have a reason to be afraid of Jesus when he returns in power and in glory? Do you? Here's what he says. He says that when you are in Christ, then, he says a little bit later in the book, you can face him with confidence because we live like Jesus here in this world. In other words, the more we live in Christ, the more we experience his perfecting love and grace, then we can be confident in the presence of an all-powerful Jesus. He says this, the love that we have in him, that love has no fear, because perfect love expels all fear. In other words, why are you afraid? If you're really experiencing his love, perfect love casts out, expels all fear. If we are afraid, he says, then it's for fear of punishment. And this shows that we have not fully experienced his perfect love. Yeah, if we're still afraid that God might be mad at us, that he might still be out to get us, out to punish us, it shows us that we haven't fully experienced his love. So is it possible to be a child of God but not fully experienced? Is there a difference between what we've received and what we're becoming? One of my favorite teachers, he's a former pastor, a former seminary professor, John Piper, has a great little short, less than 4-minute teaching about the difference between what we've received and what we are becoming. So I wanted to include that here for you, and I hope it's helpful to you as you lead your group in discussion this week.
Justification is the act of God by which he declares us to be just or righteous or perfect, because by faith alone we have been united to Jesus Christ, who is perfect, who is just, who is righteous. So justification is a legal standing before God owing to a spiritual union with Jesus, which is owing to faith alone. You don't work yourself into or perform your way into this standing with God. He declares you to be perfect because of your union with Christ, and that happens by faith alone. Sanctification is the act of God by which he, through his Spirit and his Word, is conforming you little by little, or in big steps, into the image of His Son. So we are really becoming, in our behavior, righteous, really overcoming imperfections in our sanctification. Now, here's the key question. How do these two relate to each other? And the key verse, I just love this verse. Hebrews 10, verse 14. By a single offering, Christ has perfected for all time those who are being sanctified. Now, think of what that says. Who has been perfected for all time? Has been, it's done, has been perfected for all time? Those who are being perfected, being sanctified, being made holy. He has made you perfectly holy. Who are you? The ones who are becoming holy. Which means that the evidence that you stand holy or perfect or just before God is that you are, by faith, becoming holy. It sounds kind of paradoxical, I know, but it's the key to the Christian life. Or another way to say it would be this: the power by which you daily strive to overcome the imperfections in your life is the confidence that you're already perfect. If you get these switched around, if you think, okay, God demands perfection, I've got to become in my behavior perfect, and then God will look at me and say, He's doing pretty good, we'll let Him be perfect, or count Him to be perfect. It's just the opposite. Because of Christ, we believe in Him and what He did on the cross and His perfect life. We believe in Him, and by that faith, God unites us to Christ. His perfection is counted as ours, so we have now been perfected in Christ. And the evidence that we stand perfected in Christ is that we hate our sin, and we daily, by faith in His promises, strive to overcome the imperfections that exist. So my exhortation would simply be, please don't get these backward. The whole world gets it all backwards. Other religions get it all backwards, where our works and our efforts to overcome our imperfections might make us pleasing to God. You never can get there that way. God reckons us as acceptable, makes us His children, counts us as righteous, and because of that righteousness, we then spend a lifetime becoming what we already are.